I'm on a quest to read every Star Wars novel ever written, because I fear the Empire will come after my family if I don't. Today I'll be talking about Rebel Rising by Beth Revis, a prequel to Rogue One that's set between the opening and the rest of the movie. More specifically, this picks up a little bit after Jyn is rescued from that hole in the ground by Saw Gerrera. It focuses on her life with him, her inevitable separation from him, as talked about in Rogue One, and her life afterward and how she became the person she is in Rogue One. I read this book in the grieving period after Andor had ended, and I was curious to see what the sort of counterpart to Andor is about the other main character of Rogue One. And I think that this and Andor work together very nicely. They provide a very interesting contrast between the two characters. When you start Rogue One, Jyn and Cassian already have these sort of opposing viewpoints on what to be done about the Empire. Cassian is very much the we need to do something to fix this is unacceptable, whereas Jyn has her whole it's not a problem if you don't look up. She is content to just live on her own and try to avoid the Empire as much as she can. But now season 1 of Andor has already showed us that when he was younger, Cassian used to be a lot more like Jyn in that sense. This, on the other hand, shows us that when she was young, Jyn was a lot like Cassian. Just after the events of the opening of Rogue One, and just by proximity to Saw Gerrera, Jyn is very much an activist, looking to deal a blow to the Empire and to her father, who she thinks is working willingly with them. I think it's very cool that the overall story shows that these two characters went on these very disparate character arcs that ended up with them meeting and coming together as they do in the movie. And I think that strength comes down to Revis's character work. She does a great job with Jyn and Saw in particular to give very strong renditions of the characters that we already know from other pieces. It's very rare that we get to see a softer side of Saw Gerrera. He's someone who's incredibly hardened and beaten down by the world, so along with a couple of references to Steela, this really shows how much he came to care for Jyn while she was under his care, and it makes it all the more heartbreaking when they're inevitably separated. And Jyn's arc is equally well executed, but sad. It's tough to see her getting beaten down again and again by the world around her until she becomes convinced that there's no use to fighting, that you should just sit down and accept whatever is dealt to you. That sadness is somewhat alleviated by knowing that she'll eventually come to her senses and make the right choice, but it's all the harder knowing that she'll die pretty much immediately after. But thus is the nature of the tragic hero, and Revis does a great job delivering it. Overall, this makes for a great predecessor to Rogue One and an excellent counterpart to Andor. Maybe not quite as good, but that's an incredibly high bar. I don't hold anything accountable for not being Andor good. This is a solid 7 out of 10 though.